Hello everyone, this is update for August 27, 2022, day 185 of the war, end of the date update. So again, we're going to discuss a little bit about energy situation, which is getting worse as we mentioned, and there seems to be no changes in the European Union, although there are changes in Japan. Which is kind of like it was in the same boat as European Union, but decided to sort of change the course, seeing the situation. And so, what was going on in Japan? They were doing exactly the same as what Europe was doing, basically relying almost exclusively on renewable energy and then LNG or natural gas that would be delivered mostly from Russia and elsewhere, and also uh, from Persian Gulf and so on. Because the prices of LNG skyrocketed, Japan immediately decided to turn on idle nuclear reactors, and so for several days they decided to restart 7 more reactors. So the total number of reactors they will have running about 17. They used to have 33 before Fukushima accident, and even more, they decided to invest money in developing new generation of nuclear power plants, presumably more safer and so on. So as you can see, some sort of countries are really making right decisions. In our opinion, Japan is really doing what it needs to do to avoid the crisis, versus Europe is sitting and brewing on the problems, and the problems are brewing there. So just to give you a little bit more anecdotal sort of evidence, or kind of like tidbits of information. So Finnish company Metsä Tissue, well, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Finnish viewers may correct me. But this is apparently a large producer of toilet paper. They are reducing production of toilet paper in Germany and Slovakia. So viewers from those countries probably will start experiencing shortages of toilet paper there pretty soon. There's another German company called Speira Aluminium that is basically making secondary aluminium. What it really means is they take aluminum sort of garbage and recycle, melt it again, and make aluminium. Make basically recycling aluminium, right? Melting secondary aluminium from the scrap that they get, and then they roll it and they make products for automotive industry, for marine industry, for actually again beverage cans, from which this is probably mostly melted, and they're reducing production to the 50% of the capacity. And this company looks like it's pretty big. It's about 5,000 people, so that's sort of not a small fish. And then even another Czech government official openly stating that if European Union is not addressing this situation, there could be some kind of like social unrest, explosion, and change of the top political class in Europe. So basically, the situation there in Europe is sort of boiling and ready to explode as a result of all of that. Now let's switch to Russia and see what's going on there, and specifically sanctions, how they affect Russia. So there are news from Russian sources. Just we want to make sure that we're not using any Ukrainian sources, because they're totally biased and unreliable in this way. So this is from Russian sources. They openly mentioning that Russia is cannibalizing its helicopter fleet and also actually airplane fleet to keep the remaining helicopters and airplanes running. So as you can see, this is where actually sanctions do work, and they do create a lot of problems for Russian sort of economy as a whole. So this is And this is, as we would say, is where actually sanctions are appropriate and they really create huge problems is in technological sort of areas. Because Russian economy is not producing pretty much any technological products. So anything starting from servers, you know, going into all of this aviation, electronics, all of this pretty much fully imported from other countries, and so this is where Russia is super dependent on external suppliers, and the economy is super dependent, and this potentially can create huge problems at technological level and providing, for example, like wireless communication services, internet services, pretty much anything, and that really hampers Russia's ability to continue the war without really hurting the West. Unfortunately, that's not the policy that's being sort of pursued by the West. Now let's actually look what's going on the front lines. There were new attacks at Antonivsky Bridge, which we discussed is essentially impassable except by foot. So remains to be seen if this is going to allow, if there's effect on the front line, because so far we've seen that Russian troops still managed to launch surprise attack and capture village near on the road near Snigurivka. Now let's actually do the walkthrough front line, starting from the very north and then going in a clockwise fashion down. So situation along the state border is relatively quiet, very little exchange of artillery fire there. Now let's jump to Kharkiv area. There was again attack here towards village Dmytrivka. This is typical area of Russian attacks, didn't go anywhere, but this is, in our opinion, just sort of probing attack. There's nothing major here. Now let's move to Izyum bridgehead. So there are actually surprising changes there that we kind of like become aware just today, or at least we were able to confirm those. We don't know exact details of what actually transpired here, but there's the end result is the following: that Ukrainian troops managed to squeeze Russian forces out of these areas that I'm showing here, but essentially the Ukrainian forces managed to capture village Dmytrivka, Brazhkivka, Dibrovne, Kurulka, and then there's also unconfirmed information that Ukrainian troops control Dovgenke, this village here. So essentially, there is significant reduction in this bridgehead here. We don't know full details what happened here, but it seems to us that this is more of withdrawal of Russian troops under sort of light pressure by Ukrainian troops, and this is because all of their sort of like more battle-capable troops were pulled to North Donbass section of front line and area straight west, west of Donetsk. So this is what's going on here. We'll sort of see and kind of continue watching the developments here, but this is a totally unexpected, I would say, development. Nevertheless, this is confirmed by Russian sources. We would not sort of put it on the map if this were just Ukrainian sources. This was confirmed by Russian sources, by the way. Now let's move to North Donbass front line. Things here are relatively inactive. The only sort of traditional area of attack is this Soledar here, Bakhmutsky. This is where Russian troops continued their attack. They didn't attack in Bakhmut. There was attack at village Grigorivka here, which used to be typical area of attack. None of these attacks went anywhere here. In a little bit more southern section, Russian troops attacked village Zaitsevo. There are reports that Russian side captured this or squeezed Ukrainian troops out of the salient here and captured village Kadema. We probably will confirm that tomorrow, but it's extremely likely. We just don't have full confirmation, but it's pretty much, we believe, is true. Then also Russian troops kind of tried to attack here towards this villages Ryanyivka and Kurdyumivka without much success. Now let's move south to area west of Donetsk. Here attacks kind of in the same area. This near Pisky attack that didn't go anywhere. Then near Marinka, and then there's a little bit new area of attack. This is more probably probing Ukrainian defenses. If you remember, Russian troops attacked village Zolotaniva. Now this is village Bridgehead. We don't see it, but that's where it is. So basically, as you can see, over past week or so, Russian troops tried Ukrainian defenses everywhere here. They attacked directly in Velika Novosilka, Zolotaniva. Now they attacked this Bridgehead. They attacked Pavlivka, Vuhledar. So basically, we're trying to see if there is any weakness in this area so far. Now let's just quickly look at this situation near Pisky. It hasn't changed. This is from August 21. So the only strong Russian attack at this village Nevelsky, they didn't made any progress. They continue heavy artillery shelling of Ukrainian defenses here on kind of northern and northwestern sort of area north of Pisky, basically along this road M30, and they basically trying to soften Ukrainian defenses in Opetne, Vodene, and then this beginning of Pervomaysky to basically kind of start moving in this direction. But this is kind of work in progress. They basically destroying one by one, kind of brick by brick, they dismantling Ukrainian strongholds in this area. And once they kind of feel that they're ready, they will launch infantry and tank supported attack. But so far it doesn't look like they there. Now let's quickly check the Zaporizhzhia front line. Since here are pretty much frozen as the same, nothing really happening, with exception we kind of this is kind of like a crossover location. So as we discussed, this is the only place where it's active between Vuhledar and Velika Novosilka. That's the Russian this naval infantry brigades are trying to attack Ukrainian forces here. Now let's jump to Kherson bridgehead. The situation here is stable in a sense that Russian troops are not attacking. They are shelling heavily Pervomaysky, which is next sort of step, next stronghold, Ukrainian stronghold they need to capture if they sort of continue their attack. So it doesn't seem that the sort of attack has stopped or anything. This is just the next step, where typical sort of procedure by Russian troops. Heavy artillery barrage, destroy everything, and then sort of try to attack. If it doesn't work, sort of rinse and repeat, right? Again, heavy shelling, and then sort of again attack. So this is kind of in process of that. So far they've been sort of shelling this Pervomaysky stronghold for a couple days. So wouldn't be surprised if they launch attack in a day or two at Pervomaysky. But the sort of constraint that they sort of starting to experience here are these bridges that are essentially not usable anymore. We did see on the space image from the space that they have this ferry, but at the same time that capacity of the ferry is small percentage of the capacity of the bridges. At the same time, who knows, maybe that's somehow enough. We would be surprised if that's true to supply Russian troops on this bridgehead, but sort of kind of remains to be seen what works. Sort of this, what if this if the destruction on damage of these bridges basically creates enough obstacle from the supply perspective that it forces Russian troops to stop their offensive towards Pervomaisk. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and until tomorrow. Bye bye.